Merry Christmas, everybody. From the homestead, just wanted to take a few minutes and show you, here we go, Christmas 2020, and we have amazing snow in East Tennessee, a really nice white Christmas. And I've got a few videos I took earlier that I'll go ahead and clip in with this, but truly maybe hopefully a really nice send-off for 2020 this year, and having a nice white Christmas. Hey there, friends. Merry Christmas. Sorry this is a little bit late, but in our neck of the woods, we are still celebrating Christmas because we do Yule around here, which is basically the 12 days of Christmas. I'm sure you've probably heard that phrase, heard the songs, and I wanted to do a little video about that as a kickoff topic, and then also talking about hope for the future and things that you may take into consideration for the next year. So anyway, back to the Yule thing is in America. Well, actually, let's back up. I think it was about 1582. There was a changeover of calendars from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. They did this because of leap years. There were too many days, or there was an inconsistency in the calendars, because for the Earth to make one orbit around the sun, it's about 365 and a quarter days. So when you start having too many of these quarter days, before you know it, you're not where you're supposed to be. That's why we have every February a leap year every 4 years. But in the Julian calendar, they weren't necessarily doing this. Fast forward, lots of history, that they ended up adopting officially worldwide the Gregorian calendar, different countries at different times. But in America, because I'm a history buff, especially American history, in 1752, we were a colony. We had people here, had people in this county, and that we officially adopted the Gregorian calendar. So my theory, or some of the things that I've noticed around, is that there are people who still celebrate the tradition of Yule, although it's becoming less and less and less because it's not talked about as much. I've known people from New York and other places where they would do a January 6th little Christmas, right? Because that's the 12 days, is that when they changed over from the calendar, it went from December 25th to, or it was January 6th, or what we now call January 2020. January 6th was what we are now calling December 25th, okay? So we basically eliminated about 11 or 12 days because of the leap year problem. Well, in America, 1720-ish is around when the first Great Awakening, people were understanding about the Bible and freedom, and that the rights that we have are inalienable. They are part of our humanity because they come from God. All of that, okay, from 1720 to 1740, roughly. Nobody knows exactly when it started, but that was the time frame. So we were experiencing some of these things. People were becoming more, not that they weren't already religiously minded, but that was like in the air, if you will. So 1752, we switch over to the Gregorian calendar. Well, I would imagine that, families or communities might not necessarily take to that changeover too well, because, hey, I want to, observe Christmas on Christmas, but now we have this conflicting dates within families, within communities. And so what I think, and this is just me, based on readings that I have done and analyzing, that the 12 days of Christmas was kind of like the compromise, if you will, that people celebrated on Christmas all the way through to January 6th. And that was when people would do the gift giving extended on the days of Christmas, or you went and visited other families, you went Christmas caroling, you did all these kinds of things, because that was the way that people kind of had a peace. And, you know, it's also just, it's hard in the wintertime. It's difficult with all the low light levels, the cold and what have you. There's also all kinds of other folklore type stories. Like, I'm a fiber artist, so, you know, during this time frame, the new year, you don't touch your spinning wheel, because I can't remember what it was, if it was like the spirits or something like that. If you left yarn on your wheel, they would come and tangle it all up and mess up all your projects. There's a lot of rich folklore and, you know, religious traditions that were involved in this. So we've tried to follow, we like it, we like the tradition of it, we try to follow that as a season. We continue to follow the Christmas spirit here for the 12 days at least, you know, through to January 6th. So that brings me back to December 21st. We had about a week or so ago, where we had the convergence of the two planets, and they had the Bethlehem Star. I hope you all got a chance to see that, because it was pretty cool to see. And it reminded me of what I am using as my star, I'm using as my Bethlehem Star, which is a Star of David, or a Magen David. And if you notice that there's two triangles, basically one on top of the other, to create the image. This is a felted wool ornament that I made for myself, and I just use this over my nativity scene. But I had thought, you know, it's pretty apropos, because you had the two planets, the two triangles, the convergence. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I thought it was nice. I thought it was appropriate, and so I have this over my little manger scene, and that I wanted to share with you that, you know, it is the season of Christmas and Jesus's birth, and this is my little baby Jesus, and that as a Christian in our household, we believe in the Judeo-Christian ethic and the Bible, and that we believe the Messiah has come, and that we wanted to put a little video out and share that as something that you may want to consider for coming up year. 2020 pretty well has sucked, and as a clarion call for hope, that there are lots of really good help that you can find within a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I know that there's things that have happened in all of our lives. We've all struggled. We've all done things that we're not proud of, that we think about, you know, that, oh God, you know, he would never want me, you know, the roof would fall down if I showed up in a church. I would tell you no, that God left heaven to come down to earth to be able to find you and me and everybody. And he knows everything under the sun. And your job, if you're struggling with problems right now, and aren't we all, but if you haven't accepted any kind of a relationship with God, is to, I don't know, find a trusted friend if you can. Learn about forgiveness. Learn how to forgive yourself, and allow that to understand that we are obviously not perfect people. We are trying. There are things where you have intention. You know, sometimes people do things because they don't know any better, right? But when you learn to do better, you do better. And it's that kind of a message that I want to put out there for you today, is that if you are struggling, most of us are, look for God, look for Jesus, a relationship with him. And it doesn't have to be maybe as complicated as you might think if you're not familiar with religion at all. It's always shocking to me how many people are completely, totally unaware. But there are places, help and resources that are out there and available. But the first thing I think that is the most helpful is learning about forgiveness. and learning how to forgive yourself, because there's a gift that's sitting there right in front of you. It's totally free. But if you are so guilt racked that you can't lift your eyes up to be able to see it and understand that you make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes. That's just part of the deal. But we do need to be able to have a big brother, if you will, in Jesus, to be able to help lead and guide us to do better every day. Having that relationship, accepting that Jesus is the Messiah, that he came from heaven, was born of a virgin, and was raised and died and was resurrected. They're very simple things. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, but there's plenty of resources that are online that you can read about. I love religious history as well. There's a lot of stuff that I look at from a different perspective, not just as far as religion and faith, but the richness of the culture, the Jewish culture, and other synchronicities that happen that just help me to understand better. But I just encourage you all to get involved in your spiritual health, because I think that will ultimately help you, and will ultimately help all of us. The other thing, I have a friend that has been involved in addictions and recoveries, and I myself have worked in the periphery of drug and alcohol rehab facilities. And being in those places are just some of the most humbling and amazing experiences. Some of the most real people I have ever met have been people who are on the recovery path. And if there was any kind of books that I would recommend for people, anybody who's looking for, help, their life is out of control, they're looking, or even just honestly, it doesn't, even if you think your life is good, do it anyway, because you'll be surprised how many people that you will figure out in your life that are addicted or who have codependency issues. But the 3 books would be a Bible, whatever translation works for you. Don't get hung up on it. There's a lot of people who want to beat you over the head over one translation being superior to another. I have 6 or 7 different translations. I do things online and whatever because I study, right? I don't necessarily just read one thing and that's the only way. I'll take all kinds of things into account. So a Bible that you can read and understand clearly. It's in a language that you can understand. Secondly, the Al-Anon Blue Book, very helpful. You will learn a lot about addiction. And it is based on the Bible. There's biblical principles in it. And then thirdly, Al-Anon, which is, for people who are family members of alcoholics or drug addicts, which is based on the Bible. These 3 things, we have such a societal problem right now with addictions, will help you, I think, to be able to put a few things into perspective and in a framework. We're in the downtime, if you will, of Yule. I know things will probably kick back up again in January, but I hope and I pray that you'll be able to, if you're looking and seeking for God, that you will answer that call, and because He's been looking for you. He's been looking for you since the minute you were conceived, and respond to it in a positive way, and don't let co-Christians or whoever that maybe are not, behaving the best way discourage you, because one of the things that was told to me that helped me the most is that when you go to a church, oftentimes some of those people are the quote-unquote sickest that you will meet. These are people that realize and understand that they need God, they need a relationship with God, but then they get stuck. They don't ever get past that point, and you have to be, those are the people that they talk about. They're the 1-hour Christians or the hypocrites or what have you. First step is understanding that you need to have a relationship, but second step is keep learning, put your nose to the grindstone, keep trying to refine yourself. Don't get complacent thinking, oh, well, that's just, I'm a Christian and that's the end of it, and I don't have to work any harder. Keep going, because there's always something to learn. The Bible is a living, if you will, word. It's like a prism. If I had a crystal or a prism or something, and you could take light and you could shine it on it, and it would show a pattern of light, and you ever so slightly change the prism, you'll have a new pattern of light, or you change the light, and it's always going to be changing, it's always going to be moving. And that's how the Bible is. There's things that you can read 1,000 times, and then the 1,001st time you read it, it's going to be new to you because something has changed in your life. There's been a shift, and you end up having a new understanding and a new revelation. So I hope that today's video was educational, inspiring, and I pray that you'll be able to find peace through the Prince of Peace. And remember, you are the gold. God bless.